What an amazing press conference, man. The energy is back from the audience. It feels like we haven't seen a crowd for a fight in years at this point, even though it's only been a month. And the Armenians showed up for Arman Tsarukyan. I didn't know that Los Angeles has such a big population of Armenians, but they also gave a lot of respect and applause for Islam Makhachev, which I always love to see, you know, a fan crowd showing respect to both fighters. That's why I love the Pride Days with the Japanese audience, because they would always cheer for both fighters, always give so much respect for both of the fighters in there. But Jamahal Hill was the one that got all the boos. No one got booed besides him, with a CHAMA chant ringing through the press conference. Jiri Prochazka being awesome as always. I really hope he does well in this fight. Renato Moicano, always giving out the Moicano speech. Beneil Dariush being cool as well. Both guys are awesome. And of course, Umar and Merab have to trash talk each other about nationality. I'm not too knowledgeable of the Caucasus modern history. I know more about like their ancient history, but they were arguing with which country they represent for the fight. And Merab questioning Umar of where he's from. Is he from Russia? Is he from Dagestan? Isn't the same place? I don't know much about like the modern history over there, but Dagestan is a region in Russia, right? So if he is from Dagestan, he is technically also from Russia. But Merab asked an interesting question. He said, what does he represent? Does he represent Dagestan? Does he represent Russia? And Umar said both. But then did he ask where's Arman from or where's Merab from? Because Arman is Armenian, but he's from Russia. I don't know. I guess it's like a big thing over there in the Caucasus region related to Russia. Maybe there's something with their history that they just do not want to be aligned with Russia, or maybe from Merab's perspective, he knows that it could bother a Dagestani saying that they are from Russia instead of Dagestan. I don't know. And how great is Jiri Prochazka? He's flying out a cancer patient to see the fight. He cut his hair off, and he's going to donate $50,000 for cancer patients. And Dana's also going to bring another $50,000 of his own money. I know it's not supposed to be a competition between him and Jamahal, but like when a fighter does something like that, it's hard to not root for him, you know? I really hope Jiri Prochazka does very well in this fight. And yes, Jamahal Hill, he makes excuses. He's playing a character now and all this stuff, but like that's beside the point, right? That's like the entertainment part of the sport. What Jiri's doing is very important, man. And if he gets his win bonus, there's more money for him to maybe put up in the future if that's what he wants to do. I really hope Jiri performs well in this fight. Then Umar brings it back to the nationality argument with Merab. Umar tells Merab, if you love Georgia so much, why are you living in the United States? Why don't you go back to Georgia? You know, you have to go back and help the people over there. And Umar says he lives in Dagestan. He lives in a village. And Merab had a good answer to that as well. You know, he said he came to America for his dreams of becoming a UFC fighter and doing the best he can in the sport. He said, you know, America is what made him or helped make him the fighter that he is. He came to the United States the right way and he represents America. He comes out with the flag and all that stuff. But he says that he will eventually go back to Georgia. He still loves Georgia as a country. That's where he's from. What's the right answer to that? I don't know if there even is one. It depends on what you think about nationalism, but both fighters essentially were saying that they represent both countries or both regions, right? Umar represents Dagestan and mainland Russia, whereas Merab represents the United States and Georgia. And as I'm saying, you got two guys from the same training camp in the main event and co-main event. That just speaks to how hard they work in the gym. But do I agree with them? Do I think they're the hardest working fighters ever? I don't know. I mean, most fighters are hard working as well. And most guys train like crazy, are very disciplined, make a lot of sacrifices as well. But you do have to give a lot of respect to Islam and Umar. I mean, these two guys are both in title fights from the same camp on the same card. That is something, right? You don't see that too often. Two fighters like that on the same card, main eventing and co-main eventing. And if they both win, I mean, it just goes to prove what Islam is saying even further. And Arman Tsarukyan seems like he's the fan favorite out there. The fans are going crazier for him than even Islam. He truly is like the Armenian Batman. And from cheers to boos, Jamahal Hill with a loud roar of boos. And bro, what was Merab doing? When Jamahal Hill is getting asked the question, Merab was like, he was telling like the winning numbers for the lottery, telling what to invest into Bitcoin or something. I don't know. It was so random. Maybe he was telling Jamahal, you know, don't worry about the booze or something. But the question asked to Jamahal was how he's going to prepare for Jiri now that Jiri's saying that he's going to keep his hands up and all that stuff. And Hill said he's prepared for the best Jiri we've ever seen. Well, this may be a version of Jiri that we have never seen before. So I think the best game plan for this is, of course, to understand Jiri's strengths and weaknesses from his last fights, but also don't put too much into that, you know, because if he truly made that drastic of a change in his defense where at first he had his hands down all the way to his knees to now his hands are up high, that's a very big difference that can change the dynamic of that fight. So very interesting answer from Jamahal Hill. And then he called the fans fickle and he said that They're eating meat and stuff because they were chanting CHAMA. Alex Pereira made a cameo on this press conference. And then Renato Moicano with like a presidential speech. Him and Dariush have so much respect for each other. They're talking about the first responders of the whole fire in California. Dariush is a good guy, always brings the fight, and he has that kill or die mindset, which Jiri was clapping to as well. It's like the samurai, the warrior spirit, and Reinier de Ridder just having fun with the crowd. It's his second fight in the United States ever. The first time he ever fought in the United States was against Gerald Mearshart. He was like surprised with the American audience, and he just wants to go and party with them after. And then interesting enough, Islam was asked a very interesting question. Why would he agree to come to Los Angeles to fight Arman Tsarukyan knowing that LA has a large Armenian population? And Islam responded with that he fought Volkanovski in Australia. He fought Dustin in America. He wants to fight Arman in LA, as it doesn't matter to him. It doesn't matter who the crowd is cheering for. It's only him and his opponent in there, and it doesn't sway his performance. Now, of course, he did fight Charles Oliveira in Abu Dhabi, and a lot of fans at the time thought, the champion should be able to fight in Brazil. If the champion is from a certain country, that's where he should be defending his title, right? Like a king would, essentially. A king defends his throne in the country that he lives in. Well, he's not from Abu Dhabi, but it is like his arena, essentially. But credit to Islam, because ever since he won the belt, he's never fought in his arena. Every one of his title defenses has been in his opponent's arena or in a neutral place, like the Volkanovski rematch. He fought Volk in Volk's country, he fought Dustin in Dustin's country, and he's fighting Arman, not in Armenia, but one of the biggest population of the Armenians. You have to give a lot of respect to Islam Makhachev for doing that, because even though he says that he doesn't get swayed by the audience, which it seems like he doesn't, he performs very well in all of his fights, that's not the same with every other fighter. A lot of respect for Islam Makhachev, knowing that the Armenians are going to show up at the arena for Arman, and they're going to be cheering for him against Islam. But it's interesting enough, when he called himself the best fighter in the world, the crowd was cheering for him, which is awesome. Like, it looks like they also give a lot of respect to Arman's opponent, even though Arman is their guy. It kind of reminds me of the Japanese audience. The Japanese, especially during the Pride days, they never booed the opponent. They cheered for both fighters. But then Arman was asked a question about Islam's cardio. It's not really accurate. So I think it's referencing Arman's interview with the Nelk boys. And he said that Islam got tired in the Dustin Poirier fight. And that's somehow like a weakness of Islam is cardio. Islam doesn't have weak cardio. If you look at both the Volkanovski and the Dustin fights, both fights where he did start to get tired in the 5th round, those were fast fights, man. Him and Volk went to war. Him and Dustin also went to war. I don't think Islam has bad cardio because he started tiring out in the 5th round of both of those fights. And the thing is, he finished Dustin in the 5th round. Whether Arman believes that Islam actually does have bad cardio or not, with the question asked, it's not true. Islam doesn't have bad cardio. And it's funny, the crowd's going crazy for Arman, and the journalist asked him with all the support that he's getting, would that be too much pressure for him during the fight and stuff? And then Islam says he has more fans in the audience, and they were actually cheering for him. And during the Faceoffs, man, Reinier de Ridder is huge. Reinier de Ridder's a big guy, man. He's 6'4". He looks about 2 inches taller than Kevin Holland. Now, they might not have the same shoes on, but it's a big guy right there, man. But both guys being respectful, as well as Dariush and Renato Moicano. Jiri and Jamahal, intense stare down. It's gonna be a crazy fight, man. Looks like Jiri's about an inch taller than Jamahal, though. But when you look at Jiri compared to Alex Pereira, Alex was like an inch taller than Jiri. So either Jamahal is actually 6'2", Jiri's 6'3", and Alex is 6'4", or Alex is slightly taller than 6'4". And then Arman had a checkerboard sweater, jersey, maybe football. Looks like some kind of Armenian football jersey or something, as Islam is dressed as some kind of librarian. So leave in the comments below, what did you guys think about the press conference? I thought it was great. I thought it was a great press conference. Enjoy the fights, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.